Hey guys, how's it going? Real Randy Chavez here, coming at you with a Pokemon sales data video. I also did a little something in the end, which my thoughts on which cards are going to go higher, which ones are going to stay steady. Uh, Moving right into it, I told you guys that Koga's Ditto First Edition PSA 10. They messaged me back finally, like, yeah, let's do it, 250. I was like, fuck, okay, I already promised them I would, so I will, even though I probably shouldn't have. Total is 250, 283 after tax on eBay fees and everything, which I think is still really good because there's only 202 PSA 10 Koga's Dittos out there. And you know, if the nines are selling for 130, 140, again, there's 250s. Steal. Just my opinion. Nido King, first edition PSA 9 from base set, sold for $650. It's a good price point. I think it's a little undervalued. Again, just my opinion. Rockets Mewtwo, first edition PSA 10. Another one sold for $950. I don't think we've seen one reach four figures yet, but they're getting dangerously close. Dragonite, first edition PSA 9. I don't know how this sold for $300, but it did. Maybe it was a really, really, really weak 9. But this is something that is like a $400 or $500 card. Aerodactyl, first edition PSA 9. Hollow from Fossil Set, sold for $122. Then we had a Haunter from first edition PSA 10 from Fossil Set, sold for $455. Nice record price point. We had a Grand Party PSA 10, sold for $1,225. We've had a cluster of sales around the 1,200 mark, so that's the average. I don't know what like the support line would be, but that's pretty much where you're gonna go from now on for that soft trophy card. Blaine's Rhyhorn. This is a uncommon card, I think. Yeah. This first edition PSA 10, and normally like a few months ago, you can get this card for like $19, $15. There's some like Blaine's Mankeys you can get for like $11, first edition PSA 10. But now this one, the one that you can get for less than half a few months ago, you have a $41 sale. Again, I think there's a couple of people trying to complete this set. As we saw with a Sabrina's Alakazam and Sabrina's Abra, that got $200 each. Crazy. Lieutenant Surge, first edition PSA 10. This is the one that had a $2,500 or best offer, and once the one at $1,125 or $1,150 sold, this person shotgunned out deals like, oh, $1,250, buy it right now. And someone did. Someone bought $1,250. That's what they got for it. There's not a lot of those. I think there's 44 PSA 10s. So yeah, there's not a lot. However, the other one, I think the other one had one of the higher bids had zero feedback. So, but clearly we have two sales now that are 1,100 and 1,250. So, record price points the past couple days for each of them, which is great. Then we had a Poliwrath first edition PSA 9 from base set. My hip. My other hip. Sold for $725. And that's it for the data. So what I want to get into now is just what, specifically in Gym Challenge, just going over some numbers, what I think is undervalued, what they prices currently are. Blaine's Arcanine first edition PSA 10. There's 132 copies, PSA 10 copies. One's on sale for on Instagram right now for $1,700, which I think is very, very undervalued. Because that's one of the best cards in the set. It does 100 damage, or 120 damage, and it's just so freaking cool. It's not very playable, but like it's badass. I think Arcanine from the first generation from base set should have gotten a holo, because that in the show you see in the actual Pokemon anime, there's 4 legendary Pokemon. There's, you have the 3 legendary birds, and then the 4th one is Arcanine. I don't know if Arcanine was originally meant to fly, because in the theme song, you see Arcanine, like, fucking run so fast, and if you can run, like, 2,000 miles a night, like, 600 miles an hour, run fast, I'm sure he could freaking fly. I don't know if he was supposed to, but again, in the theme song, you see him, like, fucking take off, like he's got wings and shit. And then in the official Pokemon handbook, the original 150 Pokemon, the evolution type for Arcanine is legendary. Like, it's just legendary. So I think he's a legendary Pokemon. It's supposed to be a legendary Pokemon. In the show they claim it to be. He should have gotten a holo in the first one. He didn't, but you can get that first edition PSA 10 Arcanine from base set for like $300. It's still undervalued for that card, that original artwork. Really cool. But yeah, I think $1,700 is really undervalued. If I had more money, I would totally get that right now. I think that's worth minimum 2,400, which we've seen it in the past. It did a retrace, and same with stocks. It goes up, and then it dips. You buy on the dip, and I did. I bought one for 1,500 or 1,800 like a month ago. So moving on past that, I'm only going to go over ones which have less than 200 PSA 10 copies. So no, the Tender Starter's Raichu or Misty's Gyarados. Anything with over 200 PSA 10 copies, it's just I'll leave that there for now. Erica's Venusaur, only 77 first edition PSA 10 copies, and I think you can get it for like $2,200. So that's something that's, even if that's the correct price for it, even if that's something that is, there's less than 100 copies, so it's pretty rare. It's pretty hard to find. Less than 50 is like god tier rare. It's like really, really hard to get. But I think that's something that's undervalued. And why I think, or even if that's the right price, we have a Giovanni's Persian, which can get about the same price, around $2,400, but it's only 51 PSA 10 copies. So I'm just going to jump around a little bit with this because Giovanni's Persian is so hard to grade. It's epic artwork. Now, Erica's Venusaur, you maybe I think in the games, like the like red and blue, Erica I think had like an Ivysaur, but in the show she did not have any of the Bulbasaur evolution line. She specialized with Gloom, which turns into Loudbloom, but she didn't really have that card. But Giovanni has a Persian, and that's Giovanni's. That's it. That's the one you see from the show. That's the one. It's the one you see from the games when you fight him a couple of times. It's fucking badass. And is one of the only Pokemon in the games that, in the first generation, Persian and Dugtrio, whenever they slash that move, which they don't want to like level freaking 50, but slash, it's always a critical hit because of the speed. The way the mechanics of the game works, if you have high enough speed, the higher chance of critical hit you have. So Dugtrio and Persian, every time they do slash, it's always a critical hit. Now, me personally, I would take Persian because you get that same type attack, the stab bonus, same type attack bonus. It's a normal type move. It's a normal type Pokemon. Slash is critical hit. It's so badass. And what I would like to do, which I haven't done yet, take a Persian from first generation, migrate it over to the second generation, and then teach it Return. What type of badass Persian would that be? Normal type move of Return, how much it loves you, normal type, same type attack bonus. That's so badass. I freaking love this card. It's so hard to grade. It's so rare. I think at $2,200 it's very, very undervalued. And that has 51 PSA 10 copies. And Misty's Golduck has 48 PSA 10. So they're very, very close. And Misty's Golduck sold for like $6,000 recently, which is fucking insane. So the fact that Giovanni's Persian sells for less than half of the price point that Misty's Golduck is, so undervalued. So freaking undervalued. Why Erica's Venusaur might be a little undervalued is because it's a starter. It's a Venusaur, like Blaine's Charizard. Through the freaking roof. Why does it get more love than Blaine's Arcanine? Even though Blaine's Arcanine is badass and we love him. Gary's got Arcanine in a bunch of the games. Because it's a starter. And even though it has 278 PSA 10 copies, and Arcanine has only 132, so less than half of that, it gets 50 times more? Or it would double at this point if Blaine's Arcanine is going for like $4,000. It's because it's a starter. Or I'm sorry, Blaine's Charizard is going for $4,000. Blaine's Arcanine is it's not the starter, but so any starters are going to get a boost. You know, Blastoise, Venusaur, Charizard boost, and not just first gen, all the gens. So moving past that, we have Giovanni's Gyarados, only 119 PSA 10 copies. I got mine for like $600, like a couple weeks of that. Now, Giovanni does not have a Gyarados. Lance has a Gyarados. Misty has a Gyarados. Misty in the show, or no, in the manga has a Gyarados, and she gives it to Red. And it's badass. It's freaking cool. I like it just because it's cool artwork. It goes for more than Misty's Gyarados because Misty's Gyarados is 220 something PSA 10 copies, and Giovanni's just bad. I love Giovanni. He's just cool. But yeah, there's only 119 PSA 10 copies, so $600 I think is really undervalued. I think that should be a $1,000 card right now. Giovanni's Nidoking, still get it for $500. Yeah, I would have gotten this had the other people not messaged me back about Koga's Ditto. So Giovanni's Nidoking, only 170 PSA 10 copies, so it's less than 200. It's not like there's a small amount. There's plenty to go around, but if I have like 2 or 3, you know, 167. There's still a decent amount to go around. It's just $500 is undervalued for that artwork, and that so cool. Koga's Beedrill. There's only 60 PSA 10 copies of this, so there's not a lot. There's only one on sale right now. Listed on eBay is for like $5,000. I don't think anyone's gonna pay it for that. Although, fuck, if you like need to complete a set, and you don't know when this is gonna come around again. Like, okay, maybe some people just they don't want to check eBay every day to check the listings, and you get notifications for it. You can set it up, but you just don't want to do that. Some people's time is just more valuable than that, and there's like, I'll pay this just so I don't have to keep looking at eBay every day. I'll pay it for the complete set, so I have a complete collection, and never touch it. It's done. It's complete. It's like when you're complete renovating a house, and it's like, okay, yeah, you're increasing the value of the house. Maybe have a few beers with your wife or whatever, and you get the work done, and it's okay. But you just want it to be done. Like, you just want, like, you'll pay someone a premium of what you could do yourself just because this way it's done, it's out of my hair, I don't have to do it anymore, I'm tired. So Koga's Beedrill, again, if I had the extra money, I would say that's a $2,000 card. So people are sleeping on the 9s. Well, I mean, if you get it for 170, 179, because again, the 10s aren't really that available. They're very liquid. Like, you can sell it, or like if I took mine and sold it for $2,000, or I listed it for $2,000, I guarantee you it would go very, very quickly. So yeah, I would say $2K right now. That's what I would pay for it. $3K is probably a fair price. When there's more copies than Giovanni's Persian, I don't see how it's going to get more than that. So $2K right now is probably, it's the price I would pay. But it just doesn't come up that often. I think it comes up probably less frequently than Giovanni's Persian. So so maybe it would get the 2,500. I'm just thinking out loud here. So Misty's Golduck, this is the big one. 48 PSA 10 copies, very, very extraordinarily rare. I got it for a steal at 3,500, considering the last one sold for $6,000. If someone were to offer me $10,000 for the one I have, I'd be like, listen, that's part of my complete set. I don't know if I'm able to get that back again, and if I can, will I have to pay $10,000 for that one in the future? Because I do want another one, and if I had the money, I would pay $4,000 for that easy, because they're just not out there. And some of the people that I know that have it just don't sell, like me. Rocket's Mewtwo, 183 PSA 10 copies, and this is close to a $1,000 card. It's been getting the most recent sold again for $950. So this is something that I think is a $1,000 card. Probably should be more than that. We've seen a lot of them recently, a cluster of like 5 or 6 of them the last couple of weeks. So this is something that I think it's already gone up. So it's that nothing goes up forever. Come down, retrace, consolidate, whatever. I would say 1,200 would be the price target for this for the end of the year. Rocket Zapdos, 155 PSA 10 copies. So these are both Rocket cards. Both, I guess, legendaries. Mewtwo, like, OG legendary. And Rocket Zapdos. Zapdos, again, another OG legendary bird, but not, like, legendary. Like Mewtwo. Mewtwo's, oh, God, insane. So, a lot of history with the Mewtwo card. And this is I think this is only the second Mewtwo card to be printed ever. Outside of promos and stuff. Because, obviously, in the base set, you have base set Zapdos, and then you have fossil set Zapdos. So this is the third Zapdos. So Mewtwo has the advantage already. But so Rocket Zapdos sold recently for, what was it? Yeah, $950, like 2 days ago. So they're about the same. Rocket Zapdos has 155 PSA 10 copies, so it's 28 copies less than Rocket's Mewtwo is 183. These prices make sense. They're legendary cards. They're from Rocket, and Rocket's, again, I'm glad it's Rocket's Mewtwo, not Blaine's Mewtwo, although it should be Blaine's Mewtwo, but, whatever. These are just cool. I enjoy these cards. Great artwork. Again, it's third Rocket Zapdos, though, but I love them. That's great. I don't know if this is going to be really undervalued. I would say it's a $1,000 card, which it pretty much is now anyway. Sabrina's Alakazam. Stupid undervalued. 131 PSA 10 copies. So it is, Giovanni's Nidoking is 170. Now, granted, Giovanni has a Nidoking, but Sabrina also has an Alakazam. Giovanni's Nidoking is badass artwork. I think the artwork is slightly better than Sabrina's Alakazam. But Giovanni's Nidoking has 170 PSA 10 copies. This has 39 less copies at 131. So Sabrina's Alakazam, where you can get them for around the same price. Obviously, Giovanni's Nidoking is undervalued. That's what I think. Sabrina's Alakazam, also undervalued. You could probably get it for less than 500. Oh, God, that hurt. This is something that, again, if I had more money, I would buy a bunch of these because they're rarer. I don't want to say they're harder to grade, but again, it's a lot of history with these cards too because it's Sabrina has an Abra, a Kadabra, and an Alakazam, and it's just, is that not one of your favorite like arches of Pokemon? Is when Ash gets his fucking ass kicked from Sabrina, goes and tries to catch it. He gets a Haunter to agree to follow him, and they all, Brock and Misty are trapped in this gingerbread house, and the runner that just Ash is like, those are such good episodes, and they're so memorable. Sabrina's Alakazam, I think, is very, very undervalued. That should, both Giovanni's Nidoking and Sabrina's Alakazam should be $800 cards minimum. Just my opinion. Again, this is what I'm doing. I have all these cards. My tummy is making the rumblies, so I'm going to go make some eggs, and then I'm going to go have dirty taco and tequila later. I will see you guys later. All right, bye.